Hey, 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 all you groovy cats and kittens. It's your uber bearish bags with GP, who did talk me off the ledge last week. And hey, Nick's back. Woo! Nick is back from vacation and anniversary and missed my crazy bear talk. And anyway, GP and I are signing out. And for the next 55 minutes or so, you get to listen to the dulcet sounds of Nick JFDI walk you through some trades.
Are you serious about that? You really want me to do that?
No, we're just messing around. We wouldn't leave you hanging like that.
All right, good deal. Good deal.
But we have missed you.
Yeah, it's good to be back. I feel like it's back to some routine, and man, I love the winter, obviously, honestly. So yeah, feels good to be back.
Well, it's good to have you. I was just saying, I'm just now tweeting that my back is breaking from carrying GP for the past 2 weeks. So I'm glad that JFDI is back. SPY, QQQ, Bitcoin. Hey, Bitcoin, speaking of, I know we had some pump, but it's kind of stalling. We'll see. Again, risk on, risk off indicator kind of stalling out. I'm glad it's above those key daily MAs, but as I've said, I don't know how many times, the secret sauce is a little bit higher, and right now it looks like a failure of the 9 weekly, but we'll see. But
look at that weekly inverted hammer in the bottom of the support range, and the follow through.
I know
that's a. We're gonna fake you out to the false move equals
and the RSI, right? It's levered up to off the moving average. Like I get it, but we still got to clear that 21 weekly EMA before I'm like, giddy up, boys! It's party time. All in on some calls. Anyway,
so for me it's 25, whatever that I posted. That's the bigger level, and when that gets taken out, it's party on.
25, 26, potato. What's $1,000 on Bitcoin between friends?
I don't know. No idea.
Nick. So, I know you haven't been paying attention to the market because you've been having life and family things to do.
Yeah.
But you did peek at some charts before we hopped on this little ditty right here.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think happened the last 2 weeks? What do you think's going on right now? Seriously though, like your 2-minute assessment.
Yeah, I think we had a decent pullback in like the Qs and the SPYs, which was to kind of be expected. If based on just kind of how hard we ran, I think a lot of people were expecting the 50-day to kind of hold in a better fashion than it did. But like in the Qs, for instance, measuring off the lows, we basically just retraced. We did a 50% retracement. We undershot that and held the 61.8, which is still relatively
50% retrace of the 50% retrace, right?
Yeah, exactly. Either way, like with where the McClellan was sitting and how oversold you were at, you had to kind of be in the camp that we were going to be seeing some sort of bounce. How it was going to play out, we didn't really know. This was kind of like I think kind of a little bit of an uglier one in terms of just how it pulled back, but we closed above the 50-day and it was on above average volume even on Friday. So I think it's I was back onto the long side if you're not.
You weren't here, but I was feeling really bearish Sunday, and then Monday gave me what I thought it was going to do Monday, and then Tuesday was a little bit uglier until it just went boing, and then you had Wednesday, Thursday, Friday that looked like champs. Actually, I was on the SPY, I think.
I mean, this is really what bulls
Yeah.
want to see in terms of putting in
Tuesday,
kind of
Wednesday,
a higher
Thursday,
low.
or sorry, we recorded on Monday. Tuesday, Wednesday was the bulling. Yes, Wednesday was the bulling. Anyway. Sorry, I won't bogart at all.
No, all I said was that I think for most bulls, I think this is the higher low that they want to see get put in. Like we want to see this hold for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think you have
And
super
it looks
wide.
good.
I
What's
think
that?
you have super wide ranges, right? Which is why. So
Yeah.
like when I think we talked about this a month ago, or whenever it was, whenever we hit that 334 January low, right? I think it was the week before that happened that we talked about it. Is like I was expecting this to pull back at that point because that was such a big volume day that
Yeah.
everyone who said, "Oh, that's probably the dip to buy," got railed for like
Well, no,
8
yeah.
months, 6 months straight. So when it got to that level again, I was expecting it to pull back like pretty hard, right? I wasn't expecting news or anything, just overall selling at that level. And I was expecting like 314 to hold. So I was expecting like a 20, 21, because it's been undershooting all levels and then reversing higher. So I was thinking like maybe 310, but they just took it even another level
Yeah, they
lower.
did.
Sure.
So like, but it was still in this wide range that was forming in May, right? Like it wasn't like we just kept breaking down further. We were just kind of hanging in this wide band of 50 days break, 20 days break, whatever, man. I don't care about that crap right now because it's all over the place. Ultimately, the moving averages, they're not as reliable when you're in these weird volatile and wide range patterns, so to speak. If you want moving ranges, I would probably go if you're on short term, definitely use them like under half day or longer frames, right? Like weeklies and monthlies. And I think that's where it shows a bit more kind of fluidity and stuff like that. It was, and then we came back and we pushed back up. I'm still not convinced. Everyone's now convinced that we're going higher. I think it's a possibility, but really need to see this UpX week not stall. I need it to be, I'm going to punch you in the face like Mike Tyson, straight up, non-stop movement to this upside and potentially take out that 334 level this week. And if it does not, I don't know if I really trust this move. That's like that 334 level is important, and to clear during UpX, like that's a pretty big move for the week. That's a 10% move. So I don't know if it's possible. But I really want to see the Bulls have been tortured and beat and destroyed for 9 months and counting, except for small relief rallies, right? Like, oh, look, that's everyone sees that resistance point and like, oh, it's a bear market rally. Everyone's short here. And then you short and it works. And you're like, when has the market been this obvious? Right, Nick? Like it hasn't been that obvious. It's just like, so I think it needs to be not obvious again from the Bulls side, and that's what I'm looking for this week. If we don't see that, I'd be a little concerned.
Yeah, and I don't know if it has to go to 334 on OpEx this week, but I would say that I think it's just an important week for a lot of charts. I mean, a couple weeks ago, we talked about coming into this, and I think I was like at 296, and it closed around there, but it dipped a lot lower. I still think we could chop around and grind higher, but you're right. Until it breaks this like 334, 335 level, I mean, it's more slop and chop, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And until that level's broken, I think, right now there is a little bit of a trend that wants to go higher. Right now we have similar types of inverse head and shoulders building here. on so many charts. I just scanned all my charts on Friday, and
They're everywhere.
it's literally everywhere. But
That's why I don't believe them more than, you know what I mean?
And that's what I was getting ready to say. We've talked about in the past where we don't really trust the chart patterns anymore. And at some point, like, averages catch up to you mathematically. And when inverse head and shoulders has like a 67% of working out and the past doesn't have it, like at some point it's got to happen. And I'm not saying it needs to be 10% on the Qs this week. I'm not saying that it needs to be any percent on the Qs, but a lower week at all would be very disheartening if you are looking to the long side, and that would just give bears more momentum, in my opinion. So I would definitely like to see somewhere up here in the 320s, 37, high 3 teens come through by end of week. But it's OPEX, right? Like any damn thing could happen, and that's the crazy thing about it is there's just so much expiring. It's a quarterly OPEX too, right? Like, and it's the end of the quarter coming up.
So no, there's quarterly expirations as well. So that's at the end of the month.
Okay.
But the reason I'll tell you why I think it needs to clear that 334 level, obviously besides the obvious, because it was a big, but the last OPEX is where we rejected the 334 level. So my thought process is
true.
There was a lot of call calendars that were sold. So they sold the front. Huh?
I said true.
Yeah. So like, I think a lot of call calendars were sold to sell the like in the money calls for August OPEX because it was the most obvious place to completely reject everything. And they were bought for maybe September, October. So I would like to see that happen for that reason, because that's where we were on an OPEX week. So I'd like it on the next OPEX to take it out. It's more powerful. It's like what you call a bullish engulfing, but on like,
hey, I love a big Rager hard on green candle. I mean, there ain't nothing more that I'd like to see it do that.
Yeah. And my thought process is it still has to be Netflix. Netflix was one of the first charts to bottom in this market.
Here we go.
I will say it over and over again. It hasn't been behaving. So like if you were watching this week, the markets, when they tried to push higher on, I think Tuesday, you saw Netflix failing before everything else.
Yeah.
And Netflix started to fail, and then the market started to fail, and then we just reversed lower. So that's still my bull market barometer across the board. So you need
that
this
320 like a champ though, or 230,
215. It tapped 215.
Yeah.
So it basically tapped the earnings day high. I think I posted the chart. It's been in this mess of an earnings zone between 215 and 252. The last earnings and this prior earnings before that. And so I think it has to be Reed Hastings leading the way. And if it doesn't, I don't know if there's much upside potentially. So that's where I would like to see all the strength come from. Because it bottomed on May 10th.
It did.
A month before the Qs bottom.
Indeed, it did.
So, do we have a agenda that we want to go over?
We don't have an agenda. We're just going for it.
All right. Shall we talk about the XBI biotech?
And I'm glad you brought this up because this is something I was looking at majorly this week. So go for it. Spit your game. Talk your shit.
So I've been obviously talking about XBI since May, long Labu since like the $5 range. I'm still the full position that I bought. Nothing's changed. But I love seeing the symmetry on these charts. Like I think the two that stand out to me the most is XBI, especially on a daily basis, and Roblox honestly is the other one. I'm like, holy crap, the symmetry on these two are just mind-boggling.
Surprise.
Yeah. I thought the same thing.
Like it's so it's almost to like the day, right? Like it's just it's mind-boggling to see this play out real time. And So these are the charts that I'm kind of looking for, whereas the other ones are a little bit more kind of wonky, like Square and Roku, and like I see a lot of like mocking type posts out there on a lot of stuff, but we've had some major corrections, and everyone talks about, but they're still raising rates, but we've already had some major moves. Things are trading at like 2x sales.
We know we know it's coming.
Mature companies.
Yeah.
Like it just seems like, I'm not saying that we can't get into a global financial crisis, but what are your odds towards that? And if you think your odds are higher than 50-50, then keep shorting.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's key shorts. There's key shorts. They've been working, right? Oh, that should be resistance. Oh shit, it is resistance.
Right.
Right? Like it's been the most obvious points on the chart where you're gonna see failure and then they come and you're like, wow, I've never seen so many people be so right on FinTwit.
That was
and boldly calling him out, right? It's like, I'm shorting here. Oh, look, it worked.
I mean, we're in a bear market. It's the same. It's kind of the same thing when we're in a rolling bull market. You can throw darts and it works.
So to that question is, when do we go from bear to bull? When we take out new all-time highs?
I mean, like from technically speaking, I think basically right, like what we're doing right now, if we're really creating or carving out a higher low, then the bear to bull thesis changes when that 334 gets taken out on the Qs. Because the low that I don't know if you've heard this, but for some reason, a lot of times I follow it actually. When I'm drawing trend lines, I don't typically pick the low of like that I see in the chart. I pick the higher low. So like for the trend lines that I'm going to be drawing forward, like let's say we continue to kind of melt higher and trend higher over time, or let's say the next couple of years, whatever. The low that I'm going to be connecting all my trend lines to is likely going to be that low that we put in last week, unless that gets taken out. Do you follow that or not so much?
My trend lines are a little bit more different. I tend to use volume with it too. Okay. Like if you see it's a double bottom, right? Essentially we bottomed on May 9th, the week that Netflix bottomed. We came back and almost retested that low. So you have your essential double bottom. So like that was on decent volume on that bottom as well. So I would be using that as a trend line for sure, because to that May 10th bottom is the initial downtrend, right? So now you've swapped to what the other trend is.
You want me to pull up Netflix so we can do this exercise, or a different chart?
No, I'm looking at XBI or QQQ or whatever. It doesn't really matter. They're all essentially kind of the same patterns, right? The Qs were a little bit more, but XBI had the clear double bottom, right?
So Nick, you're saying you're going to start any trend line from here, right here?
Yeah, in the future, correct.
So whatever happens here might be disregarded if this continues a path, or it'll be a new downtrend, is what you're saying, basically.
Yeah, for sure. Like that's kind of the importance I think I see in that pivot right there, that point. Yeah,
got
that
it.
low.
Yeah.
And GP, you're saying more back here on the May.
So I was looking at XBI when I was talking about this, so this looks a little bit different.
So I'll go back to XBI. That's fine. Yeah. That's fine.
So that was like a capitulation. That was a capitulation. So that's the end of the big move. The big move down.
This is the 10th. That's the 11th. This is the 12th. So you want the 12th? Yeah. You want a trend line on the 12th?
No. So the trend line I'd be drawing is from when it tried to make the second. It tried to go lower, but enough bulls stepped in. So that's where the new trend gets established.
So from here.
So
I understand that for sure.
June 14th.
Yeah. So I'd be doing it from that perspective.
Okay.
And where I'd be connecting it is on like the bigger volumes on those weekly candles, right? So, or on daily candles and see if it aligns on the weekly.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Sure.
Shazam.
Right. So that, like, I try to look at the daily volume. It's just the way I look at it. Everyone's got their subjective, but the reason I add in the volume is I want to see
Where the
people
turning
stepping
points
in.
are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I want to
totally.
see the step in. So like that volume, if you look at the daily XPI, that volume on, is it June 20th or 17th or whatever it was? That was massive, right? Like for what we've been doing.
Oh, I'm
So
sorry.
that-
I don't have the volume on. Let me turn the volume on for you.
Yeah,
How dare me not be ready for that? That's not the right one, is it? Is it? I guess so. Yeah. There's volume. All right.
So like now go to the daily, right? So I start drawing my trend lines from daily moves and see if they align on weekly, right? So that big volume on the June 17th is the one I'd be looking, because the shorts were still there trying to push it lower the days before. Then the bulls said, F off, we're gonna take over, and they stepped in with size, right? So that's where I'd be drawing my trend lines from. And then I tried to connect it to other volume days, not necessarily lows, to see where other bulls have stepped in, because that to me is more important than other stuff. But trend lines in general aren't that important to me. I don't know.
yeah, definitely. No, I like that point.
I
though.
like pivots. I'm pivots personally, so like I'm sure there was a trend line to the 334 level, but that was my pivot. That was the number. That was what I was watching. I didn't give a damn about any trend lines. That's the only thing I was watching. And as soon as that rejected intraday, I'm like, game over. We're going to 314, right?
I like
And
lamp.
then obviously, what's that?
I like lamp.
Lamp?
Anchorman joke. I like that. Yeah. Sorry. Just trying to lighten it up. My bad.
Yeah. No, you're fine. So Nick, to answer your question is like, so my TA has to, I try to always look at it from like not technical points on the chart, but what people were doing at that time.
Yeah,
So
no, I dig it.
that's how I draw my trend lines, is what were the masses doing. And we had a low volume pullback, and we had a reversal on decent volume. Then that's where I look for those trends to kind of hold and see if they kind of align on all different time frames.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in working backwards. So monthly, weekly, daily, if they all connect and look good, I like that.
Yeah.
But I usually start my chart off of a line chart and then sort of tweak it from there.
That makes sense too.
It's not always accurate, but you'll get these people who know a nickel's worth about TA and say, oh, you have to go wick to wick or body to body. Well, sometimes that's not the whole story. Anyway.
No.
Yeah. I like it.
It's more finding the trend to me. Anyway.
I think it's an art, and it's like I liken it to like blackjack. Like
it's absolutely an art, not a science.
Play whatever you're gonna do. I say just play whatever consistently. Do whatever.
Always, if you're always hit your 16s. Always, I don't care how.
Yeah, right.
Always don't be a wuss and stay on 16s. You're screwing yourself and everyone else on the table.
Yeah,
but that's a different conversation. Oh, look, I hate the places that let you surrender on 16. Those are the worst. So, but that's me, right? I don't operate from fear. If you're going to put money on the table, I assume it's lost, so you might as well go down swinging.
Penny stocks. Put it on penny stocks. Go down swinging.
I think I still own my first one that I bought. I don't remember what it is, though. I don't even know the login to that account.
Yeah. It's a nice weekly bar on the Qs. It was obviously a little bit lower volume. And I think the conversation is like, who really believes it's low? No one really believes it. So the volume is always going to be low on the first time. My initial thought, right? And then you want to see if volumes starts to accelerate. So that's what we want to see this week as well.
Yeah.
Nicholas, you said you were looking at charts. What's some things you're looking at?
Yeah, there's a lot of good looking stuff out there. I mean, just like, stuff starting to curl off the bottom. I mean, obviously, if you're looking at like, big cap, like, Google and Amazon both look good. Same thing with Netflix off of 50.
Yeah. I mean, Amazon. Oh boy. Yeah. I mean, let's take a minute on Amazon here.
Yeah, right. I mean, again, measuring kind of from where this move began, which was basically, let's just say 105, 106. It held the 50-day and the 50% retracement there at 125, 126. Like that was a key hold there, I think.
Yeah.
I think the chart looks freaking amazing.
It looks
I think
sexy. It does.
Yeah, it's definitely setting up its next leg higher. I think if you're looking to start to build up, if you're looking to start building a position, I think now is the time to get involved. I think your risk
Not
is
a bad spot. Not a bad spot.
Yeah, I think 122 is your. If it goes after again, was it last week or the week before? If it goes after that low and we roll over, okay, we're wrong.
Yep.
But I think that's what you're risking. So you're risking 10 points here. But and then your B point is really kind of like that 146. So
yep.
What is that? 110 to 1. I mean, yeah, it's got a big freaking move. Like it looks like it wants to go back after kind of like that 170 area.
So there's no reason it should be at 130 in the first place. It's just stupid, right? Like I don't even mean that in a bad way. They're crushing it on every level, and they're growing their biggest business, and they're valued at half the value of Google.
Yeah, right.
So I understand Google.
I was telling you guys, short seller over at Charts for Charity, he was posting on Twitter, and there was a extreme bullish thesis. And it was this right here. You guys know I'm not big into fucking bastardized Head and Shoulders, but this person created the chart and it looked really good.
Yeah.
So
and
I think it could absolutely ramp.
It hit exactly almost to the penny, the 50% retrace from the bottom move to the top move.
But I think he was using the SPY.
A lot of people want to draw this as a cup and handle. But the handle was a little too deep for it to be a true cup and handle. Most cup and handles are around a 38% retrace max. This was a 50% retrace on the handle, so it's not the same, but whatever, man. All those patterns, well, you know what they all say? That it's a bullish setup. So now it's got to follow through.
Yeah.
What about Goog? What do you like about Goog?
Goog, I mean, it's just like a kind of a good looking pivot off the bottom there. Like, Google is in this 105 to 120 range.
Is that a bullish engulfing there on the weekly?
On the weekly,
the bars, yes.
Open? Is that a bullish engulfing?
I don't have the opening bar on my bars. I mean, it would be on your chart, yeah, for sure. So, just coming off the low. I mean, we tested the lows. Lows got rejected. If you're going to be kind of same thing, like if you're looking to get involved in the Google or want a Google position, like now's kind of the spot to do it because you have a pretty defined risk. Like you can just say 105. 105 is your number. If it goes after 105, you're out. If it goes after 105 and takes that out, it's likely going, probably mid 80s.
Yeah.
And you're gonna want to step aside anyway. If we go higher from here, you can either take some off as we push back into the 120, or look to build into a bigger position.
If I'm a short-term trader, I actually like this risk to reward better than Amazon. I think Amazon's probably got quicker, higher upside, but you have what, 15 points to resistance and 11 points to support on Amazon. On this sucker, you've only got 6 points to the downside, and you should be out, and you've got almost 15 points to the upside. So I kind of, I like that risk reward if I'm a short-term trader, which I'm not, but that's the way I would kind of look at it. That's how I would break it down.
Yeah. Definitely did not have the volume coming into the lows to really like push into the lows and take them out.
No.
So yeah, I like Google.
Smaller names.
I mean, the high and tight one like that I like is DGII. It was a name that Duzio had been yapping about a long while ago.
Wow.
Kind of a thinner name. But technically speaking, I like the look of it though.
Yeah.
So,
dude, I love the look of On.
We're gonna bring up On again. Yeah,
we are. Talk about the perfect back test. Like,
On looks great. Yeah, it looks freaking-tastic. It has looked really good for a while now.
Yeah. And we need the semis to lead, honestly, for this to be.
Yeah, because when you got NVIDIA looking like the dog crap it's been.
What a sneaky low that would be, though,
yeah.
if that's how I'd put a low in right here.
So I'm insanely bullish on NVIDIA here. I don't know why. I just honestly, excuse me, sorry. I honestly just love the look of, like, this looks like a face ripper sitting up to me, is because I can't put my finger on why, but it's got that look of what it's done in the past, which is stomp out all the bulls that it can and then just go ape shit. Right. So
yeah, we know you like Global Foundries there, Randy. GFS. Randy's calling it out in the chat here on YouTube.
Oh yeah. But these are the new, so like these are part of the IPO stocks, right? That I think are new leaders. GFS, Roblox, Hood. Hood looks great. Like I can't.
Roblox looks awesome.
Yeah, Roblox is just
like that.
Pelosi's not going to lose.
that weekly looks like a really pretty. When you were was this chart up when you were talking about how like symmetrical and pretty some of these charts look?
It engulfed the past 2 weeks.
I mean, Roblox, again, kind of through 53, and this thing is it's going back to
So but I'm not, like, I do some trades via options, but this is just this is a long-term position. I'm in the camp that if we do start our next leg up, or if we're starting our next bull market, whatever you want to call it, I think this sits in the camp.
New leaders.
I wish I had bought this at 50. It's at 500. Right?
And Hood. You think Hood's one of those names?
Dude, Hood looks, to me, if you look on the daily, hasn't gone anywhere since January, but there's a lot of accumulation happening here, and it's not that expensive of a stock.
So here's my thing on Hood. Do we think that Hood is a buyout candidate, a buyout target? I mean, there was the rumor that FTX might want to buy them because Sam Bankman took a huge position in them, nearly off the lows. I mean, that's been 2-3 months ago. So yeah, near off the lows, somewhere back here. I mean, would they be a candidate for a buyout? And if so, like, what are they going to value them at? They're not going to value them at like 40, right? Like, surely not. I don't know. I'm just spitball. I don't know.
I honestly hope they don't get bought out, right? So it's one of those, to me.
They had a ton of layoffs.
No, I hear you, but it's also one of those companies that made all the big players shift their game and their focus. So I hope they continue to get to build on that stuff, because I think it's just good for overall competition. They got rid of fees. I know order flow is a constant conversation, but you can't help stupid ultimately, because almost every single brokerage does order flow. Robinhood has just been the headpiece for that conversation. So I don't see anything wrong with what they're everyone's doing it, right?
We're not going to relive January 2021 and talk about all that happened with Robinhood, but there was some marginally ethical things at play. So I can understand why people don't want to touch it.
But everyone did it. TD Ameritrade did it. E-Trade did it. They shut off trading in all those stocks. It wasn't Robinhood alone. It was across the brokerages because their risk was insane at that point. So they're like, I'm not dealing with this. So I get it. I get the conversation. I understand why, but you should hate all of them individually.
Yeah, no, I'm not trying to relitigate that. I'm just saying that there are going to be people who won't touch it because of those reasons. I think I said a few months ago I was encouraged that they had partnered with Salesforce for some of their services, right? Customer service requests. I think all that's positive. The main thing I didn't like about Robinhood was I got worse fills on my trades, and especially
they didn't always have limit orders. I don't think, did they?
They got them, but yeah, for a while they did. But it was just the thing that when you're trading options, you want to get your best price, and I wasn't getting the best price, so that's the reason why I just moved over to E-Trade for my options account. But anyway,
agreed.
I think the chart looks great, honestly, and interests me here around the 10-11 buck range. And if it interests me, I mean that's pretty positive. I don't know if I'm going to go call them a new leader because again, like if they got bought out, like what's the stock going to be worth? It's obviously going to be worth than $10.60, but is it $40 again? I don't know. Is it 30? I don't know. I mean, still, if it goes from 10 to 30, that's a hell of a move that you can capitalize on. But I don't know. Speaking of though, people that can buy them out, Goldman Sachs looks like a face ripper incoming. Morgan Stanley, face ripper looks like incoming. I mean, even Schwab looks like a face ripper is coming. I just think that there's too many, this coming back to our head, we're bringing it full circle with all these, this is a potential cup and handle, right? Like there's just a whole lot of good looking charts. And how do you cut it down to your top 2 or 3 or 5 plays? Or how do you guys focus your watch list on a given week? You're just looking at day by day. Do you have targets beforehand? Nick, what do you do? You just have things that you consistently look at and you play off those. When you see so many good looking charts that you scan through, what makes you choose, all right, these are the X number of plays that might be actionable for me?
I mean, I have my go-to names, and then I have kind of like my general list of like what I'm watching. And so I have got, 2 screens with just like I don't know, probably like, 30 charts on it. And like, that's generally my focus list, but I don't know. Yeah. Like I like the kind of more expensive stocks. Like that's kind of like my focus in terms of like, if at the very least, if I'm short-term trading.
So would it be safe to say Amazon, Google, and DGII are on your focus lists?
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
GP, what about you? How do you go about it?
So I'm a manual scanner. I do it every night. I go through hundreds of charts and I narrow it down to usually like maybe 4 or 5 that I'm looking for. I'm not a big day trader. I'm more of a swing trader. So I don't really care that much about day-to-day moves like intraday moves and stuff like that. So I'm looking at like zones and I'm looking at stuff that matters to me. And from those 5 charts on a day-to-day basis, I take a look at how they're behaving in the morning, right? Because I want to see the action kind of represent what I think is going to happen based on my experience. And if that's not what's happening, then they kind of come off the list. And then I look at my secondary list of 5 stocks that I have to say, hey, what about these? That this is all from the scan from the previous night, right? So I have maybe 3 lists going in from day to day, and they're split into tiers: first 5, second 5, and the last third 5, right? And if none of those qualify, I don't do the chasing where everyone's like, oh, did you get the one that had 800% move today? No, I don't. That's if you can do it,
you didn't
great.
either, you liar.
Yeah, I bought it at the exact. I don't even care about any of that stuff. All I know is over time, those types of trades for me have affected my mental game in a way that I don't like. And for me, it's about preservation of mental. So I don't even look at those charts. People are like, oh, well, this had 150%. Great, you got it. If it doesn't affect yours, I'm happy for you. That's not for. What's that?
No, I was just gonna say the only time I was gonna say like I've definitely caught several of those, but like the effect it has on my P&L is very little because generally my size is smaller, and the only reason I really caught it is because I liked it at a certain point and had like I try to reserve a certain amount of my capital for kind of just I don't know, lotto kind of trades, just what I call, bad trades, just to kind of have like, it's like a,
I know we all have those.
Right. Like, it's kind of like more to kind of itch, scratch kind of like a, just whatever it is. That's the only time I've ever caught any of those. And it's like, oh, sweet, I caught it. But I mean, like to say that to tweet out that like, hey, I caught this just doesn't sit right. Cause it's like, it's not like I was boat fucking loaded, life-changing money here.
And people do it all the time. There's a handful of people that we follow that all do it. It's like, I'm happy for you. You can do it. That's great. For me, what I've always found is that no matter what I do in those situations, I find myself like I missed out somehow, right? Either I sold too quick and it did like another 300%, or I got stopped out and then a reverse. Like, I've always found all that stuff to have a bigger impact on my mental P&L than my actual P&L. So I just don't like. I discovered that maybe 6 or 7 years ago, and I'm like, nope, I'm not even doing this. I don't even want to know. Good for you, great. But I to survive this game, your mental aspect is like, think about all the people who are struggling right now after the last 9 months of getting beat and destroyed and in SPACs or in these speculative names that are never going to come back again, and they're holding on for hope or whatever they're doing. Like, I just don't want to be a part of that, right? So
yeah, there's yeah, definitely. If you still have money in your account and you're trading actively, like, you've definitely accomplished something, I think, surviving these last 18 months.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, GB.
No, I didn't. I was just saying, yeah. I was just agreeing.
Yeah, we were both saying yeah. We're both saying yeah. All right, we got about 10 or 15 minutes left.
Take a look at well, for one I had one more was a PSTG, but then also I was going to say take a look at like X.
That's a Kathy stock.
X was like has a very interesting look to it.
Pure storage.
But PSTG.
If you're talking about X, you have to talk about CLF.
Yeah, I know.
CLF looks exactly like FSLR did.
Yeah.
On the longer time frames, it looks like broke out of a 10, 15-year base, completely failed it, and now is just toying with the shorts, and it's going to have a face ripper soon.
Is Cleveland
let's say you
ramping good for
is
everybody though?
Is the nickname of this show like go all in on Cleveland Cliffs? DLF like right now at $18 a share. You come back 6 months from now, and are we talking like CLF sitting at like 50, 60?
So FSLR was 61 3 months ago, and now it's sitting at 136.
Anyway.
So I don't know what that's going to be, but CLF has the exact same look as FSLR.
Pretty close.
It's and there's a base to it. There's a 10-year base just like FSLR and a CLF. Like it's not this. It's not this. It broke out of a base and then retested the base, and it's holding. So if it holds,
I would say this though: if Cleveland Cliffs has a face ripper, I don't think that's bullish for a lot of different names, specifically growth, NASDAQ names. I could be wrong, but I look at something like this and what happened all at the beginning of 2022. I don't know. We'll see. I don't.
We haven't talked about the XLE yet. Do we want to talk about XLE?
Sure. I think it's going to hell.
I mean, the weekly is looking better and better to me in terms of like to the long side. I don't know. I don't know. What do you? I like it.
It looks weak to me, and it looks weaker week by week. We'll see, but I've been wrong. I keep saying this because we keep bringing it up. I've been wrong. Energy. I've been wrong. The trade, but I
guess maybe.
Well,
TAN's not so much XLE.
So it depends. Well, let's talk about XLE. Are we talking about energy or are we talking about oil? Right. And if we're talking about oil, that's what the light crude futures look like. Right. And oil looks weak to me. I don't see strength there.
But XLE started to diverge from oil.
Yeah. So I want to be clear of what I'm talking about. Oil is a large part of the XLE, but XLE can still not shit the bed and oil can trend lower is what I'm trying to get at. So I don't particularly like XLE. Doesn't mean I don't think it's going to all-time highs. It could. I'm probably jinxing it and making it go. So go buy some XLE calls and YOLO them. That is not financial advice. But anyway, I just don't like the trade for me. But Nick, tell us why you think it looks good.
Oh, I mean, I don't know. It was just a talking point. I don't really have any stake in XLE in particular. I do have a position in TAN though.
TAN
looks good.
But it is a little bit different than XLE.
Let's figure out XLE for a second. So to me, I still see higher lows, Nick.
Yeah, right.
So until we take out 80, it's been strong. I'm not arguing that. It diverged from oil about a month and a half ago.
Yep.
And XLE, as much as you want to think it's alternative energy names outside of, but most of the top 5, I think, make up like 75% of the XLE, which is ExxonMobil, CVX, Occidental, MRO, EGO. They literally make up like 75% of the XLE. So it's been interesting to see those stocks hold up while oil is going on lower and lower, and it's like leaking but not dying completely. But to me, this is peak earnings conversation for oil names, right? They're still going to be fine. They're still cheap, don't get me wrong, but they're peak kind of earnings and peak growth unless oil does a massive ripper to the upside. But oil looks like poop. And so like I don't understand. I'm not sure I understand the divergence of why XLE continues to be stronger while oil trends lower. It seems like one of those, like the Qs kept going up till November of 2021, even though almost every stock was dying except for the bigger names, because they were all peak earnings growth, right? Similar conversations. Roku hit peak earnings growth, Square hit peak earnings growth, Shopify, and like these should be at peak earnings growth. So I shorted. I've been right a few times, wrong a bunch of times. So I'm just staying away from it because it's not a trade that's working for me.
Tan looks like a couple of these other charts that we looked at, and looks like it wants to fucking rip face.
Yeah. I got I'll be honest, I got pretty lucky with the names that I was in, that I held through various like earnings reports, whatever. But like SEDG was one that kind of bit me in the ass. And since then, I just tried to I wasn't, I was like, fuck, do I go after ENPH or do I
try to not get you some gush?
FSLR? Like, what do I do here? And so I just tried to build into more of a bigger tan position as opposed to trying to.
I like that.
Fuck with
anything. I like that idea, Nick.
Anyways, yeah.
It's a massive quarterly chart on tan. It's just that's gorgeous.
Yeah, the monthly, the weekly, I love it on every time frame. For sure.
But this is a trend change in an entire sector. So if you're saying
yes,
what I'm trying to say is that being long these names is probably a good idea for the foreseeable future, unless this breaks down pretty badly. Like, this is not, we had 2 weeks up and 1 week down conversation. This is a sector shift. This is where money is flowing from what I can see.
Yeah. Look at the volume on that chart right there. Is that a monthly chart? Yeah, I mean, look at the volume over the course of that last, let's just say the last two years.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
So they're building, right? And once they're done building, they let it go. And as they let it go, they're starting to now trim, right? That's the general thought process and basis behind this stuff. Is that's what this volume is here. They're building. It had that capitulation kind of move to the upside in, when was it, January 2021, when Biden came into presidency, and has had this slow trickle down here. And so you kind of, once it gets over that 128 level, this gets to be a really smooth ride. But that's still 41 points higher from here, which is about a 50% move.
Crazy.
So the base is insane on tan, right? So if you have this base, basically, if you build it, they will come conversation.
Yeah, it looks fantastic.
And if you look at some of the PEs or the price to sales, and they're not insane on a lot of this stuff. I'll see if I can send you the link that I saw. Someone did this work for me, so I'll see if I can find it and share it with you here so you can show it.
All right, 5 minutes.
Yep.
We got Bihan in the room. He wants our take on Boeing. I haven't looked at Boeing and I don't know how long. Boeing. I mean,
why is my biggest question.
Yeah,
why?
There's better setups out there.
There are definitely better setups out there.
I mean, they had to dilute the crap out of their stock to even stay alive. Like, they have so much work to. Like I said, we've always said this: Boeing's not going anywhere, but they have a really rough road ahead.
I mean, if you're, I don't know what your deal is, Bihanu, with Boeing. I think you've asked about Boeing before, so you probably have a long position. We see these candlesticks right here, right? Like, you got to do something about that. That's downward pressure. every time it gets up there. So tells me that this like 174.30, 175 level is really important. Other than that, I mean,
Yeah, the monthly, it kind of looks like it's kind of double bottoming out. The weekly, it kind of looks like a higher low is trying to get put in on the 10 week.
Yeah. But it's still got this
like,
it's got this forever downtrend that it's in.
Yeah.
Again, I agree with the guys. Better looks out there. The next one, Twilio. Twilio. That looks just like god awful. I have a position in Twilio, but it looks fucking terrible. It does look like a double bottom is trying to form here, but hey, like when you're this oversold, you got to be able to get some type of love and some type of bounce. So, again, almost similar to.
But a great risk reward, to be honest. If you so the risk reward.
Well, it could reverse lower, right? If you don't hold a stop.
No, what I'm saying is like against 66, this is a buy, and if it breaks 66, get out. So you have what, a $6 move down and potentially the start of a bigger uptrend. It's not going to be overnight on Twilio. But
this 88, 89 level is a big level that it needs to recover from. So you've got $6 to the downside, and what is that, nearly $18 to the upside. So it's pretty decent.
And this could be the
Twilio is hated, by the way. Twilio is hated by a lot of folks out there in the Twitterverse.
Why?
So because the earnings multiple, they're still not profitable, even though they're ready to be profitable. And it's just you find software companies that you want to hammer on, and it's become one of them.
Oh, okay.
As the great Helene has said, there's nothing like price to change a sentiment. So everyone rides the train. To me, it's back to 2017 levels at 66, 66.50 or whatever it is. You have great risk to reward here. I shared the TAN link with you if you want to pull it up, because I think this is also important in the conversation of
yes, I see it there.
Yeah.
Uno momento, por favor. Por favor.
Yeah.
I want to get that off there. There we go. Stop sharing and share another. There. I did it.
So like price to sales is this metric, but look at the revenue growth. Like this is a good kind of, if you're looking for names, like look at ARRY. That's 100% revenue growth. It's trading at and it's trading at 1.7 times. They don't have a lot of cash on hand, which is probably the reason it's discounted more than the others. But FSLR is just 4 times sales. It's growing at 30%. Sedge or same, but it's also growing at 56. So if you're going to choose, this is a good chart.
Holy cow, Sunrun used to be in the single digits way back when, and now it's $38. That's pretty nice.
Yeah. Didn't they go bankrupt?
I don't know.
Was it Sunrun or something else? I can't remember. But like this to me is like, look at the growth on these names and their price to sales and cash on hand. Like the bottom two, those are $1 billion cash on hand, right? And then DQ has 3 point. Like these are good if you're using fundamentals to kind of get into.
DQ is a Buffett name, right?
Is it?
I thought so. I could be wrong.
I don't know. I have no clue, but I don't follow a lot like all the individual names. I try to stick to the ones I know. But I saw this and I thought this was quite interesting, so I thought I'd share here.
Brother Randy likes Moderna. I haven't looked at Moderna recently, but Moderna's still doing what it's been doing for a while. I really liked it off of this like 130 level. So you've almost got it back there, Randall. I mean, it still looks okay. I think you can, push through what it's doing, but it could also fail. So you got to watch. But the RSI looks nice. Don't hate it. Don't love it. Don't hate it. I think there's better setups.
Better setup.
You know what looks fantastic?
What?
Tesla.
Tesla looks amazing. I love it.
It does. Yeah, it does. It really does.
My God.
Yeah. So
And I forgot they performed the split again. Yet again, we have this shit happening everywhere we look. Yeah, I mean, it does. There are definitely worse charts out there than Tesla.
And the other one, Square.
I like PayPal. I looked at both of these, and I like PayPal. GP.
Look at the daily.
Yeah, I like them both.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying I don't like Square, but I like PayPal too. Is what I'm interjecting with.
Oh yeah, I like PayPal a lot.
So you look at Square. That looks. I mean, that looks positive on the daily. Trapped right now by the 9 on the weekly. But I go over to PayPal, and it's the thing that we've been looking at for like the past hour on this call. What is that I see? What do my eyes behold? Anyway, I really like PayPal.
You know why I struggle with PayPal a little bit?
Because it has the word pal in the name.
No, we're all pals. I struggle with PayPal because I would have liked to see a lot more volume, honestly. Like after such a beatdown, I would have expected the people to go ape nuts on it.
Yeah. No, I get it. Randy, what about natural gas? Randall? It looks like the RSI is trending lower. You got a negative divergence. You still got this happening. So I wouldn't touch it with your dick and blame it on Nick.
I once blew an account trading Boyle. I feel like such
Boyle?
an idiot. I feel like such an idiot saying that.
Yeah, that's the leverage, right? Nat gas, yeah. Homebody.
So wait, isn't there some energy crisis happening with nat gas in Europe? Shouldn't this be going ape shit too? Like, why hasn't this gone bananas? Why do we have a high volume rejection for the last 2 weeks?
On natural gas? I don't know. It looks like shit to me.
Yeah. It's just questions to ask yourself. Like, if we are in the middle of the worst winter crisis ever, don't you think we'd be bidding it up? Like,
should
crazy?
be, you think. Hey, homebody, what are you asking here? We only got a couple more minutes. So if you're still on and watching, you said, have you noticed that although the 2-year is still higher than the 10-year, the difference is getting narrower? Are you talking about bonds, treasuries? What are you talking about? The 2-year and the 10-year notes? I'm guessing. Maybe.
I don't know.
I
You
don't
talking about
know.
TNX?
I don't know. That's what I'm asking him. Hopefully he's still on. I rarely look at the 2 or the 10. If I'm looking at the 10, it's because I'm getting ready to do a mortgage. Yeah, bonds. No, I haven't paid attention. So it's 10-year. I asked that. Yeah, no, I got you, Randy. The 10-year. And now let's pull up a 2-year. Have you guys looked at this? I haven't looked at this.
Yeah, I look at it via TNX and TLT and stuff like that.
You specifically go TNX and TLT?
Yeah. For more
That's
overall.
the 20. He's talking about the 2.
No, I know. The TNX is 10-year though. So my whole thing is it's waning momentum, but it also took the highest RSI ever on the monthly to even get back to 2018 highs. this seems overbought. It seems like it's going to come down to me. But it hasn't yet.
TBC. USO2Y. That's what I want to look at. USO. 2Y. Yeah, see, I don't even know the freaking tickers for these things.
Can we, once you're done with that, one more to look at?
So I'm wondering if it disinverts, less of a difference, narrowing. I mean, it doesn't look like it's narrowing. I mean, on what time frame are we looking like it's narrowing? Sorry, man. I'm just trying to understand what you're asking us. I mean, I don't know if it's narrowing. They're both kind of parabolic looking.
Yes, and that's the thing. So like the TNX, if you're looking at the monthly, it looks like it's gapped up after.
I'm wondering if it disinverts. I mean, over the course of time, like it does happen, but you know, that was COVID. I don't know. I don't study enough bonds to know. I'm sorry, homebody. Not to put you on the spot. I don't know. I'm just trying to give you a good answer, and I don't know.
Do me a favor, pull up TNX on the monthly and candles.
Yeah, I'm going.
So to me, can you do the hollow candles?
I can.
Yeah.
The Hakanishi.
No, the ones above.
No, I know. I'm just flying around.
Right. So the way I'm looking at this is it's had a 10x move, and now it's gapped to the upside. So the way I normally look at these things is that when you have a gap to the upside after this big of a move, it's probably nearing its kind of final stages of the move. So this is a monthly chart, so we still have another whole month, but you know, it kind of makes sense with CPI potentially coming down and the Feds maybe slowing down their rate increases after this cycle, the September cycle. So I can definitely see this kind of pushing for this last month and then reversing.
Yeah, and that's
lower.
That's super OB on the RSI too for a monthly. Like that is really OB.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be surprised if we got a low or high there, right? So that would not be a surprise at all.
No,
I'm
it's
not saying it
overbought
comes
on
there,
every kind
but
of thing.
yeah. That makes sense. And why in the hell do you like the hollow candles?
I don't know. It's just what I use. Just what you're used to, right?
Yeah, true. Nick, are you a full-bodied candle guy, or are you a hollow candle guy?
No, full body.
Yeah, baby, that's what I'm talking about.
Weirdly, like on my weekly charts,
Sorry, homebody's not a dude. Sorry, homebody, you're not a dude.
The reason I use the hollow candles is when you have those hollow candles, you know they're buying to the upside, and when you have the dark full body candles, it's pretty bearish, right? So that's why I use the hollow candles.
Yeah, and I use bars on my weekly charts, and then I use candles on my daily and monthly.
Yeah, that works. But the one I wanted to talk about is potentially Roku. I like Roku on the
Yeah,
month.
I've talked about Roku in a minute. That looks wonderful.
So you have this kind of monthly inverted candle in this 3-month range, and then you have a follow through to the upside, and that
I can't look at
grown.
that anymore.
Yeah, the daily sucks. Don't bother looking at the daily.
Oh, I was talking about the hollow candles.
Oh, yes. So I like what this is kind of doing on. So they're back to the same prices they were in 2018, 17 timeframe, and their revenue has grown what, tenfold or something like that.
Well, you got $10 to the downside and $25 to the upside. That's pretty decent.
Yeah,
It's pretty decent.
but it's a shit trader. So like it just it'll be one day where it just goes bananas and then doesn't look back, but don't know when that day will be.
I don't know. Roku might be done. They might go to 0.
I think
I'm
looking at it, I mean, I would
I'm
use
going.
90 as your kind of like a double bottom pivot, just looking at the weekly.
Double bottom pivot.
I mean,
on the
90 would be your
weekly.
confirmation that, it double
Yeah.
bottomed out at 65.
Yeah, and then but the weekly it tried to push higher and then had 3 weeks of low volume kind of pullback. Last week we had a kind of a reversal candle, but it was on lower volume. So now what you need to see is if there's follow through, right? So
Yeah.
I wouldn't be getting long unless it takes out I think 2 weeks ago high. So that's around like 74 and change or something like that. That's where I would that would make me feel more comfortable.
All right, we're way over time.
Yes.
Way over time.
Yeah,
GP, you got to go eat or something. But last thing from the both of you, Nick, one chart you're watching, and it can't be one that you already mentioned.
PGNY is another one.
PGNY.
She's just always on my kind of on my radar.
She's always on your mind. GP, Netflix.
No, not at all. I don't have a chart specifically. It's
You really
NVIDIA
like
that we already-
Ulta. I did too. Ulta.
Ulta's just strong.
Yeah.
Oh my
damn.
God.
Ulta's just beautifully strong. It's leading the market, which makes sense, right? People are going back to work. I think it's more. We'll probably just talk about it the next time. In terms of like just when people pull out candles and monthly candles and stuff like that. I just want to talk about that a bit more in terms of analyzing candles, right? Like those gravestone dojis and a non uptrend is not a gravestone doji.
I'm going to talk my book with my last one. Sentinel 1, letter S. Look at that bad boy just out here flaying. It's ready to go.
Absolutely.
I'm pounding the table.
Kind of looks like a bear flag.
That was my pair.
It does kind of look like a bear
It totally
flag.
could be, or it could be like a 20-week tight.
I know you saw it too, Nick.
Oh.
First, my eyes went immediately to bear flag.
Oh yeah,
That's hilarious.
yep. That's so funny.
And with that, I'll say fuck you and fuck you. Everybody who was on the chat was cool, but these two assholes aren't getting re-invited. No, I'm just joking.
Can we give Randy a big shout out?
Randy's always
every
here.
week. Yeah.
God bless Randy. Hey, Randy, love you, brother. Thanks for always stopping in every Sunday. And since my Sentinel 1 wasn't good enough, let's go to Alteryx.
That does look good.
Alteryx. Yeah,
That
no.
looks good.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Big
how I run that
AYX.
on my oof, I like that weekly.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining in. Thanks for staying an extra almost 15 minutes. Appreciate that. Appreciate the questions. Homebody, I'll know not to call you a dude next time. I'll remember that. To all the guys and dudes and non-dudes, peace out.